Okay, the first step on the frame build is to secure the bottom bearing block into the bottom plate, and that's done by using 6 screws from the bottom, and we're looking at it from the top. 6 screws from the bottom to secure the plate in place. We're going to go ahead and do that, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I get it done. I've now secured the bottom bearing block to the bottom plate from the bottom with the 6 screws. They're in place. You can see how it is from the top. Now I'm going to press the bottom bearing into place so that it's flush with the bottom plate from the bottom. So I've now pressed the bottom bearing in place, and from the bottom, obviously. So now the bottom bearing block is in place, the bearing's in place, it's attached to the bottom plate. The next step is to go ahead and prepare the side plates for the installation. Okay, the right side plate, as it were, and I'm going to go ahead and secure the top bearing block and the back the boom support block in place using two 1.4 by 4 millimeter screws for the bearing block, and 2 1.4 by 3 millimeter screws for the tail boom block. The bearing block, the screws are offset, so it can only go in one way, which is a really good thing. So one of the things when you're screwing these screws into the Delrin, you want to snug them down, but you don't want to over tighten them. Because you can break the screws. The Delrin's pretty tough, but you just want to get them down and just get them good and snug, but don't over tighten them. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do that and show you what it looks like. Okay, so I've attached the bearing block and the tail boom block with the screws from the backside. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and install the other side plate just like that with screws on this side, and we'll be ready to go ahead and install the top bearing and do the next few steps. I now have the 2 side plates joined together using the main bearing block and the tail boom block, and the main bearing, the top main bearing, is pressed into place. The next step will be to go ahead and basically take the bottom plate and set the 2 side plate assemblies into place and secure them with some screws and move on to the next step. Side plates are now attached to the base plate assembly using the very small screws, but it's a very secure, straight, square, nice base for the frame. So now on to the landing gear. So the landing gear is now assembled. The 2 struts basically just press on to the battery plate, and then you secure the skids with 4 screws, 2 on each side. And it's a very nice, strong, very durable assembly. And next we'll attach that to the base plate and side plates. The landing gear is now assembled onto the basic part of the frame. 4 screws, 2 here, 2 there, and it's a very nice, solid, sturdy. Take a few hits, I'll tell you that. And the next step is to go ahead and work work on the tail boom, and we're pretty close to being done. Okay, I've installed the tail case and fin using the 4 screws provided, and the horizontal fin with 2 screws and the attaching bracket on the back side, on the underside I should say. So the tail boom is ready to go. I've also installed the anti-rotation bracket on the servo holder. A little CA glue, and it was good to go. Once you get done with that, you just need to file the bottom off so it's nice and flush, so it fits on top of the tail boom, and everything's cool. Look for the final assembly. So here we have the basic frame fully assembled. The servo bracket is now installed. One thing I found, the small pins on the servos are a real tight fit on the base plate as well as the servo plate, so you need to press them on very firmly. I found it pretty easy to do with before I installed the servo plate on the frame itself. Other than that, and there's a few minor things you need to do, is a little filing here and there. The tolerances are very nice, and everything fits very snugly. But it's a very nice little frame, very sturdy, simple, but gorgeous. I can't recommend it anymore. Really looking forward to getting it in the air. My next thing I'll do is continue with my build and install the tail motor and move on from there.